Let's talk about Marvel's new show, Loki.
Loki. Man, I've been hearing some really just a lot about Loki all over the place.
A lot. I like how you didn't say good or bad. It was just like a lot.
Well, because I'm not sure what to say, because it's like, it seems like the jury's still out.
Yeah, so the thing is, Tom Hiddleston is an amazing actor.
Right.
And that character is a really interesting character, and we ended up, loving him as a sort of an anti-hero, anti-villain, sort of a very, original character. But there's some stuff going on. So I did watch the first episode, and it was fine. It wasn't like groundbreaking. It was good. Again, though, pretty much everything after Endgame for me and Marvel has just been like, okay.
Right.
Endgame was just like, that's it for me. So everything else just sort of like, the after effects of Endgame for me.
But this is before all that, in an alternate universe where none of that stuff has happened.
Not exactly.
But that's kind of what they're talking about here.
Yeah, so it has to do with like time police, and so there's different versions of Loki. And the problem with this is it's sort of messing with the canon of Marvel, because if you remember in Endgame, when the Hulk goes to get the time stone from the Ancient One, this might be some super nerdy stuff for you guys, but he goes to get the time stone, and this is the Hulk where he can like think and talk properly. He's like Professor Hulk, and he walks up, he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna need that stone," and the Ancient One's like, "You can't have it," and they argue a little bit, and she shows how powerful she is, and then she explains why, and she says, if I give you the stone, which is my way of defending my reality, then it's going to make a branch reality where I can't defend my reality. And she explained how it shows, like, here's the main reality, and here's this branch reality that's coming off. And every stone you remove is creating these branch realities. So every change you make is creating a different future. And they explain that you can't just go back and kill baby Thanos. A, that's horrible to kill a child. But B, you aren't actually affecting your future. You're creating a new future, an alternate future, because this future has already happened. So they explain that it's like a branch theory, right? And there's different versions of time. Some people think that there's only one reality, and changes you make in the past are affecting it, in the future. But in the MCU's version, it's a branch reality where every change you make is creating a different reality.
Right, which is confusing, and I hate it. But okay.
But so the problem with this is, like, you have time police in this show that's trying to keep our reality the same, but then you also have alternate realities. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
With the established canon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So let's just read what they say here. So the 6-hour dramedy. I hate that word, by the way. 6-hour dramedy. It's It begins in an alternate version of 2012. So created created as a result of the attempt in Avengers Endgame to retrieve the Tesseract, which falls into Loki's hands and leads to his escape. He forms a new timeline, just like you were describing right now, earning the ire of the Time Variance Authority, an organization entrusted with protecting the sacred timeline on behalf of 3 timekeepers. But what he basically breaking this down, it means that Loki exists in a timeline in which he wasn't killed and Thor the Dark World didn't happen. And also Thor Ragnarok.
Right. So now why is that? So if you don't remember the movie, what happened was, yes, he dies to Thanos' hands. But then when they go back in time to get the stones, there's a version of Loki that grabs the Tesseract, which is like the space stone or whatever, and he zips out, escaping. So he's never actually captured by the Avengers in Avengers 1, and he escapes. When he takes that stone out of that time, and he leaves that time, he creates a branch reality.
I get that, but I don't like it. Not that I don't like Loki or Tom Hiddleston. I don't like the idea of having all of these realities because I can't keep it together in my head.
Right, and that's why when the Hulk was like, look, what if we take the stones and then bring them back to the exact same place, erasing those branch histories? And the Ancient One was like, that would work, but I'm not gonna give you the stone base, and I promise. She ends up giving it to him. Anyways, I love the fact that in the end game, they send Captain America back to put all the articles back, so there's no branch realities. When that happened, I was like, yes, okay, you officially made one of the most perfect time travel movies of all time. Right. You made a time travel movie where you accomplish what you want. You don't actually change the future. You're not actually changing what happened.
Right.
Everything actually happened. You went back, got the stones, used the past stones to bring back the people that were blipped, but nothing that happened in those 5 years were affected. That still happened. People still died, all that same things. And then you put them back so that there would be no weird time shenanigans. It was perfect. Yeah. Except for that one damn stone they couldn't get initially was the Tesseract. Yeah. And I remember thinking when he got that, I'm like, oh, this is like, I remember watching the movie in theaters thinking, oh, this is a spinoff.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to let Tom Hiddleston's, he's just too good. They're not going to let that character go. And I respect that to some degree. So here's all I ask. Don't keep doing this. Don't keep splitting stuff off and making this harder to follow. You know, the time police idea is already a little weird. I do like
and Mobius. Mobius, that's a weird character.
Well, I like that Owen Wilson is doing something again.
I love Owen Wilson.
I feel like it's been a long time. I really like him as an actor. So that is a win to me. He's playing the buddy, the Loki buddy character here.
He's a cop. He's the T1 of the time cops.
But it's turning into like
a buddy cop. Yeah.
Guys. Yeah. So I think after the first 2 episodes have aired, we're still yet to be determined.
Yeah, and on that same note, I love something that Dan Harmon said. Dan Harmon created Rick and Morty, Community, Doctor Strange, right? Dan Harmon, the writer-director, he said, when they asked him if they were ever going to deal with time travel on Rick and Morty, and he goes, no, because time travel is like the first thing that ruins a franchise. He literally said, unless the show is specifically built on the premise of time travel, the second you introduce it, you've jumped the shark. And in Rick and Morty, there's this box of stuff that says time travel stuff. Do not open. So they literally have a box of stuff in Rick's garage that says time travel stuff do not open because he is never planning on opening that can of worms for that reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the fact that they hired a Rick and Morty writer to do Loki, is very interesting because he is doing time travel here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's not Dan Harmon, but you're right.
It's not Dan Harmon, but it's one of the writers for...
Marvel has reached out to the Rick and Morty pool of creatives for a long time. When they started with Doctor Strange, they went to Dan Harmon, the whole Dan Harmon's crew. They've dealt with his writing partner. They've dealt with various writers in the show for a lot of things, rewrites and pump-ups. It's very interesting that they go to like this cartoon for big billion-dollar tentpole projects.
Yeah, well, they grabbed Michael Waldron, and we'll see. He did good things on Rick and Morty, so I'm going to hold up my criticism completely on this until we've had all 6 episodes. I know there's some people out there also linking Loki to kind of what's going on in politics right now. I'm going to hold off on my
That's also a little, like, I can see where they're coming from, but it's also, it's like it's such a tiny little connection that hasn't even been explored yet. I think maybe hold your judgment. Hold it.
Yeah, I would say let's wait and see the rest of it, and then we can talk about, was it good? Should we have more?
So I agree with you completely, and I was wondering, why do I like Legends of Tomorrow then? And I think I realized why. Because they had this like extreme hard rule that they can never go back to the same place twice.
Yeah.
So they couldn't use time travel to correct a mistake they made on one of their adventures, which was, it made a lot of sense. Like, oh, you can't go to the same place twice. Like the universe will implode or whatever, right?
Well, and like you said, it's a show about time travel, so therefore it's okay. They didn't introduce it into the show. That's what it's always been about.
Right. Right. Like my favorite genre, sci-fi genre of all time, the time loop.
The time loop.
Groundhog Day, Palm Springs.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a good time loop?
The time loops are the best. They're the best. I love those. My buddy the other day is like, hey, I watched this show, and it was a time loop show. And he's like, you got any other, you got any good idea, other good movies or TV shows that are like it? I'm like, wait, do you have 10 minutes? And I wrote down a list, literally a list of time loop. And I didn't even realize 12 Monkeys. I didn't realize how much I love time loop stuff until I finished with like the 13th movie for him to watch. I'm like, okay, once you get to there, then you want to finish all that with probably the least of all these, but the one that explains how they all work, Looper. And then, And then knock it off with little 13 Monkeys, and do not leave out Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2, which in my opinion are one of the most, some of the most underrated sci-fi films of all time, because people think that they're just scary movies.
Yeah, no, they're really, really good.
They're so, dude,
also,
you can't see this.
You guys see,
maybe you can see this. Look at this. These are some of my favorite movies up here, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. Happy Death Day.
Oh, you got it up there?
Yeah, look, I have it up there with like the first Iron Man, Independence Day, Stargate, Star Trek, Back to the Future, Labyrinth, Goonies, because that movie is underrated. My wife thought it was a stupid teen slasher film. It's a sci-fi movie, you guys, and it's amazing.
You got to watch it to see it, but also make sure you see Palm Springs. So if you haven't seen Palm Springs, that's so good. Great with Andy Samberg. It's
excellent.
It's an excellent time loop movie.
I've seen it twice. It's so good. And on the same streaming service, Hulu, there's another time loop movie called Boss Level, which is also extraordinarily well. Like,
I heard about that one. I haven't seen it yet.
Hulu knows how to make a good time loop movie, bro. I'll tell you right now.
Bring it.
Okay.
All right. So that's it for Loki, right?
Oh, you know what? One more thing about Loki. I'm sorry. Only because another complaint they have, which is valid, is that Loki is basically implying another nail in the coffin of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Loki is implying that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just didn't happen.
Huh.
So Mobius, a character, Mobius basically goes through Loki's past and the death of Coulson, and he basically goes through the history, and they just purposely leave out everything that had to do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So it's doubling down on what we talked about before.
Right.
They're just, MCU does not recognize Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So those comments you guys had were like, you guys just are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. haters. I'm like, first off, no. We are talking about this because we like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And secondly, we are not the ones that are implying this. This has happened. Disney Plus put Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in its legacy category, which means that has nothing to do with the prime canon. And now Loki has decided to completely ignore 7 seasons of television. So,
yeah.
Disney's doing it, not us, guys. Don't get mad at us.
We're just reporting the news.
Thanks for watching. To see the full conversation, become a member of the Popcast family. Use the link in the description below, or go to our channel and click the join button. Select your tier, and we'll see you at the next show.